All right, joining us now on Drive the Lane, Jack Fox, punter for the Lions, and most recently the NFC Special Teams Player of the Month. Jack, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
Of course, we are pumped to have you as well. You know, your journey is a little different than most players' journey to the NFL. I think before we kind of get into this season and how everything's going, definitely want to hear your journey to where you are today.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Obviously played football in high school, and coming out of high school, I only had one offer. It was to Rice University in Houston, kind of a smaller school, but D1. And I played there for 4 years. And then after I was done there, I went to the combine, kind of hoped to get drafted. It didn't work out, and I got signed by the Chiefs as an undrafted free agent last year. So I did rookie minicamp, preseason, training camp, everything with the Chiefs last year. Was in a competition for the punting position. Ended up losing on the competition, didn't make it. So I went home. I was on my parents' couch for most of the season. I was on practice squad for a week. But yeah, I was just in St. Louis kind of hanging out, and I actually ended up getting drafted by the XFL team from St. Louis. I didn't end up playing, but I got drafted, so I thought I was going to play in the XFL for a while. And then I had to work out with the Detroit Lions, and I was on their practice squad for the last 4 weeks last season. So, yeah, it's been crazy, man, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I want to take a step back and just rewind for the world and the people who are listening who don't know, and then this definitely includes myself. What does a punting competition look like?
Yeah, man, it's interesting. You obviously it's like a one-on-one thing. I guess it's a little bit different depending on what the competition is, but both of them that I've had, we just get equal number of punts in practice. Say you have a team punt set every day where you punt with the whole team, and maybe there's 8 punts for the team, so each guy gets 4 punts. So it's not a whole lot. It takes about 5 minutes. So you wait all day to do your 4 punts. Take 5 minutes, and then you go watch film. And if you suck, it's a bad day, and if you do good, it's a good day. So it's pretty stressful, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Follow-up question: what makes a really good punt in this scenario? I think people know the buzzwords, right? Like hang time and distance and blah blah blah. It takes a home team's bounce. All that stuff. Can you just elaborate on what's the specifics? Because I mean, we've had a punter on before. We've had Drew Chrisman, who's a punter at Ohio State. We kind of know, and the world kind of knows, but can you just elaborate on the details?
Yeah, man. I'll try to keep it kind of short and sweet, but yeah, pretty much 3 things is distance, hang time, and then location. So you never really punt down the middle of the field. So we pick a location, either right or left. And you want it outside the numbers, ideally. So pretty much how we did it this year is you just want the best hang time you can get, the best distance you can get, and if it's outside the numbers. So if it's more than 43 yards, more than a 4 or 5 hang, and if you get it outside the numbers, you get a point. And it's kind of it.
It's very interesting. It's a cool scale. Before we move on to –
Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely something that nobody thinks about. So
yeah. Before we get to this season, because you're having a remarkable season, I want to ask you this. Obviously the Chiefs are not St. Louis, but it's still Missouri, relatively close to home. Were you pretty upset when, 1, you lost the competition, and then 2, all of a sudden you see the Chiefs are cutting their punter a year later?
Yeah. Obviously, I wanted to win that competition. They went on to win the Super Bowl too, so that ended up being pretty bittersweet. But yeah, I mean, all my friends from St. Louis are Chiefs fans now, so that would have been really cool to be a part of that. But like I said, man, just part of the journey.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out. It worked out because, as I was saying, you're having an incredible season. At some point, you were, I think you still are, leading the league in punts. And, as Joey was saying, we're not really 100% sure what goes into that leading the league in punt score. Is it technically a bad thing to have the best punter in the NFL? Because that means you're on the field a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I try not to think about if it's good or bad. I just go out there and punt the ball. So that's for you guys to decide.
So then what is the feelings it's more prevalent in college where a punter might not punt once. Like, it doesn't really happen in the NFL. In your opinion, are you happy when you don't have to do your job, or are you a little bit like, dang, I didn't get to get out there today, don't even have to take a shower?
Yeah. So yeah, I would be more than happy if I didn't punt in the game, because people forget, like, I'm the holder on field goals. I do kickoffs. So like, ideally I want to be busy, but busy with holding and kicking off. So yeah, man, if we could go a game without punting, I'd be the happiest guy on the field.
So, like Joey mentioned, college is a little different. There's like 4,000 guys on the team. There's a bunch of punters, a bunch of special teams players. So, you're kind of secluded a lot. Being in the NFL, are there a lot of non-special teams players that you've been able to kind of hang out with?
Yeah, a little bit. It's definitely like tight knit in the locker room, just because we have like 55 guys. Like, we don't have that many guys. But kind of like another, like the first part of your question, this is a weird year with COVID. Like, we have more guys on the practice squad. So we have like an extra punter on the roster. We have an extra snapper. So it's actually a lot like college in that regard. Like, we have 5-6 specialists on the team right now.
So let me ask you, because I'm just, if you can't tell, I'm interested about the intricacies of it. I took a class in college called Coaching Football, where we had a special teams unit, and we had the special team coach come in and tell us about snap to hold and hang time and all that good stuff. And I probably could find my notes and see if the numbers make any sense to translate to the NFL or whatever. But anyway, got to ask, what's your favorite type of punt? Do you like the rugby style punt? Do you like the pooch punt? Look at all my knowledge. I got a ton of knowledge.
You got it, man. Dude, I like the spiral punts. Those are the ones where you hit it as far as you can, as high as you can. Dude, that's what you want to be good at. And so like a backed up punt where we're snapping the ball from like the 5-yard line. I'm in the back of the end zone, like, just punt the ball as far as I can. That's my favorite punt for sure. It's like the home run punt almost.
Yeah. Wait, well, what about if you're trying to pin them inside the 5 or whatever, right? Are you more satisfied if you punt it so high that your gunner can run under it and just catch it at the 1, or do you like it when it bounces a couple times and stops right at the 1?
No, I want him to catch it, man. It's about a 50 shot if it bounces forward or backwards. So yeah, man, I want him to catch the ball.
So if you weren't punting for field position, you just got out there and you were like, I'm kicking this fucking thing as far as I can. Legitimately, like, you're not worried about hang time or any of that. How far do you think you could punt it?
Man, I don't know. I like 65 or 70 yards, like, including like the line of scrimmage. Like, so you add 15 yards to that. Yeah, I could hit like a 70-yard punt if I'm really just like swinging for it. The problem is, if you swing for like a 70-yard punt, there's a chance you hit like a 20-yard punt. So like, if you gave me like 5 tries, I might hit 2 like 65, 70-yard punts, but 3 of them might be like freaking like 30 yards.
It's like a long drive competition.
Exactly. Yeah, they get like 5 shots and they hit like 1 down the middle, like 400 yards, and they win the whole thing. It's a lot like that.
You know what you need to do? We're going to be your social media team real quick. You got to do a video where you punt it far, and we'll set up the camera angle so it looks like it's farther than it is, and you run under and catch it. Show your athleticism, your speed, just show how versatile you are, because that would be so – I mean, we see the videos of guys throwing it. Like, anyone can throw it, but to kick it and then catch it would be insane. Or maybe
like try – I've never tried it. I'll do it, and I'll send it to y'all.
So good. We kind of have a joke that whenever anyone comes on our show, good things happen to them after. It's the drive the lane bump. Are you going to be a Pro Bowler because of coming on the show, yes or no?
Man, I hope so. I owe you guys some money if the bump's real.
Is there a Pro Bowl this year or no?
I'm the wrong guy to ask, man. That's so far from what I'm thinking about.
I guess that's fair. That's probably most players' kind of like bottom thing, what's on their mind. So technically you're a rookie, even though you have been around for a year on practice squads and stuff like that. We've seen Joe Burrow get absolutely destroyed so far this year in the backfield, kind of as his like welcome to the NFL moment. For you as a punter, have you had that moment yet?
Yeah, you said, Joe, you said you're a Bears fan, right?
I am a Bears fan, yeah.
Yeah, so we played the Bears the first game of the year. I do kickoffs too, so we're just trying to kick the ball through the end zone. Like, we don't want to touch Cordero Patterson if we don't have to. And but But my last kickoff was probably like halfway through the end zone. He caught it with a running start, and like a hole opened up. He came down the sideline, and I see Cordero Patterson coming at me, and I tried to make a tackle. I just like ended up grabbing his legs, but that dude is huge, and he's so fast, and he's so hard to tackle. That was definitely my like welcome to the NFL moment.
Do you have a tackle?
Yeah, it's my only tackle.
Oh, so
I
you
ended up tackling him. Yeah, it's like grabbed his legs and like held onto his foot.
Oh, let's go. All right. That's
Yeah.
Hey, I'm good with that. I'd rather see trust me. I don't care. My Bears fandom is not so much that I wouldn't like to see a punter tackle someone. Like that's just trumps everything. I don't know, Andrew, if you feel the same way.
It's not pretty, man.
Definitely, as not being a Bears fan, I love seeing Jack, get that tackle. But on Instagram, when the Lions Instagrammed a picture of you, I'm sure you saw this. The Lions Instagrammed a picture of you, and Adrian Peterson, AP, commented like, "That's my guy," or something like that. Is that the coolest thing that's ever happened to you?
Yeah, that was awesome, man. AP's so cool. Like obviously he joined our team like after training camp right when the season started, and I mean, he's a legend. Like he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's like the most down to earth guy, like completely normal, like easy to talk to. He's like a really, really cool guy.
What other locker room? It might be even different this year. Like, what are some special scenario stories maybe from this year versus, maybe a tip even in college for you, just a different year? Is there anything just super interesting and noteworthy to kind of share with the world right now?
I really have nothing like funny or like no good stories, but it's just weird. Like everybody has to be like 6 feet apart, obviously. So we have big, like plastic barriers in between each locker. Like there's like our lockers aren't even next to another player. There has to be an open locker in between every two guys. So it's been really weird. Like I'm sure someone's ran into the plastic barrier and it was really funny, but I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, man, it's definitely weird.
So it's also, this next question is a little weird, and I'm kind of asking it because you were on the practice squad last year, so you've been in Detroit. I've partied with you in Columbia. We've hung out. We had a good time. Curious what the Detroit party scene looks like right now with COVID, and then just in general when you were there last year.
With COVID.
That's a hell of a question, man. Put me on the spot with this COVID stuff. So obviously, like this season, I haven't done anything.
Good answer.
COVID.
Good
and I would
answer.
get fined a lot of money if I went out and did something during COVID. So I haven't done anything. And last year, man, I didn't do a whole lot either. To be honest with you, I've been pretty boring, man. But yeah, there's like some good like downtown spots, and I got some casinos here, which obviously we can't go to during COVID. But yeah, it's been fun.
Who are your best friends on the team?
Ooh, Matt, my boy Matt Prater. He's my best friend. He obviously he's the kicker, and this summer I came up and stayed at his house. I lived in his basement for like 2 months this summer.
That's awesome. That's a very
NFL record holder, not a big deal.
Yeah, man, he's a stud.
It seems like the Lions have the best punter in the league, the best kicker in the league, the best active running back. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's probably not the best in the league right now, but he's the best all-time active running back of all the active running backs. All right? Great offense. Solid defense. The wins aren't coming, though. Can we get a little prediction from you guys? Like, where are we going to finish the season?
I think we're going to win a lot of games this year. Obviously, we're really disappointed being 1-3, but like we had, like you were saying, man, like we have all the pieces. We have a good locker room. Like we have guys that like want to win, want to work, and I think it's going to come together. We've had leads in every game. We just gotta finish the game. So I'm still really confident that we're going to end the season the right way.
I got to bring it back to Detroit again, the city,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily the sports teams or anything. We're Chicago guys, me and Andrew. We have our Chicago pizza. Apparently, Detroit has their own type of pizza that never gets talked about. Are you a fan? I think it's like thick. Like, what's it like? Thick crust? Like, I don't even. It's so like you're laughing. Like it's just too irrelevant.
It's like, dude, it's like the opposite of like the pizza that I like. So I'm a little bit biased, but it's like thick crust, but it's like cut into like 6 pieces. It's Shoot, I don't know. It has like a weird crust too. Man, I don't know if you guys know Emos. Obviously, did you go to Mizzou, Joey? Or are you a Ohio State guy?
Hell no, I didn't go to Mizzou. Sorry.
All right. Well, Andrew, you went to Mizzou. Huh? So you know Emos. Like I'm an Emos guy. I like thin crust pizza. I like it crunchy. I like some bacon pepperoni on Emos Pizza. Like that's the best thing in the world. That's not what Detroit style is, so it's not really my style. But hey, I probably should try it again.
Joey, in case you're curious what Emos is, imagine
don't call it a cracker.
Imagine a wheat thin with some cheese and a little bit of bacon on it, and there's your Emos Pizza.
My go-to pizza at Ohio State, they shut down because of Corona. They just couldn't stay open. It's a real bummer. They had the greatest name ever too, Catfish Biffs. I mean, that's unbelievable. What a name! Right across the street from my freshman year dorm, legendary spot, and they're just shut down. It's kind of a bummer.
R.I.P.
Coach Patricia's probably had himself a fair share of Detroit pizza. I'd say that's for sure. My next question is about Coach. How much do you interact with him versus the special teams, positional coaches, and all that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the special teams coach is like my guy. Like I talk to him every day. We have meetings every day. But surprisingly, like Coach Patricia is like a big special teams guy. I've never really had a head coach that like talked to me about punting before and like the technique and like what I'm thinking. But like he is so involved in everything we do that like he watches like punting film and he'll have questions for me about like what I'm doing, and he'll give me like a tip on like if I'm doing something he thinks I can get better at. Like he'll give me tips on it. So he's a really good like special teams head coach. It's been fun to play for him.
So when he gives you a tip about punting,
yeah,
you're the punting specialist, and he knows a lot about football, but probably not a ton about punting specifically.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's the most surprising part is like he does. He knows about special teams and he knows about kicking. Like it's really actually pretty impressive. Like he's told me stuff before that I've been like, yeah, that totally makes sense.
That's my bad. I didn't mean to take shots at Coach Patricia. He definitely knows more about punting than I do. Even though hang time, stop, snap to hold. I know that.
Yeah, you know all about the rugby punt too. Huh?
I know all about the rugby punt.
Does Calvin Johnson ever come hang around?
No, I've never met Calvin Johnson, at least not yet.
So when you were growing up, and it's funny for me to say when you were growing up because we're all the same age. When we were growing up, did you have punters that you looked up to, or did you still like love, like the wide receivers, running backs, linebackers?
No, like I was a football fan since I was a kid, and like I didn't know I was gonna be a punter when I was a little kid. Like I didn't punt at all until I was really in high school. So, man, like I was a Rams fan. It was tough, but I love Steven Jackson. When I got a little bit older, I liked Janoris Jenkins. I thought he was freaking awesome. But when I got to high school, I think I was a sophomore, the Rams got Johnny Hecker. And he played quarterback in high school. I played quarterback in high school. He, like, threw the ball a lot in the games. Like, they ran fakes and stuff, and he was a really good punter. So, like, right when I was getting into punting, they got Johnny Hecker, and I started watching him, and he turned into my favorite player. So, I was probably, like, 16, but not really growing up, but yeah, Johnny Hecker was my guy.
Are you the emergency quarterback?
It's a good question. I don't think yet. Hopefully one day. If hopefully it never happens, but if Stafford ever gets hurt, I'm gonna start warming up on the sideline just to show people I'm ready.
If Stafford ever gets hurt, but if you ever throw a touchdown, especially this season, because that'll be because of the drive the lane bump. But if you throw a touchdown, you got to do some cool celebration that's like a shout out to us because we're kind of speaking it into existence. So maybe just throw up like some signal that we'll know is about us, but you could also make it seem cool. Like maybe like pretend like you're eating like a wheat thin cracker, and it could be like a shout out to St. Louis. But like
yeah, I like that. I'll eat some Emos Pizza. You guys will know what I'm doing. Nobody else will have any idea. I'll probably look like an idiot, but
you could run around. He could run around with his arms going crazy, fist pumping, and we'll be like, "Yep, that's drive the lane." It
wouldn't be that crazy for a punter who was a quarterback in high school to throw a fake punt. We saw Drew Chrisman do it last year. Like, it would not be that crazy for you to do that in a game.
Yeah. If you guys could just tell the coaches, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, you're being – I like what you're doing here because clearly every team's got a fake punt package. You just can't – why would you share that you have it? That's smart. We have a lot of NFL teams that listen to this podcast. It's very smart.
Jack, I only have a couple more questions for you. This has been very fun. Last question from me. What's the best story that you are allowed to tell us?
The best story.
That's an easy question.
Man. I don't know if this is like the best one, but this is like the first thing that comes to mind. Like my first day when I got to the Lions last year, I was sitting in my locker. Like I got there really early just because I didn't know what was going on. Didn't want to be late. So I was like one of the first people in there. I was sitting in my locker. I was like, I looked over, like obviously Matt Prater's our kicker. So like I started looking him up. I like searched him on Wikipedia and I was reading through his Wikipedia and all of a sudden I look over and he's right behind me. And he's like, he's like on the phone with his wife, like FaceTiming his wife. And he was like walking over to like introduce me to her. And he's like, hey, Jack's looking me up on Wikipedia. How freaking weird is that? And then he just walked away. So I felt like a huge asshole within like the first like 10 minutes of being on the Lions. But he's really cool and he ended up being nice about it. So I don't know if that's the best story I got, but that's something.
No, that's good. That's good.
That's great. I think I'd much rather him say like, "Oh, that's really weird," like on the phone with his wife and walk away, than if he didn't mention it at all. Then he'd actually think it was really weird. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. My last question for you, and I'm sure Zoltan has 100 more about Emos Pizza and stuff, but my last question is obviously about the concept, the ideology that is for the brand. You know, I'm sure you know what Pat McAfee's got going on. Have you ever had any contact with him? Do you worship him? I wonder how kickers feel about him and what he's got going on.
Yeah, man, Pat's the freaking man. He obviously puts like kickers and punters on the map. Like people that don't even like know anything about kicking and punting. You guys like love watching his stuff on Twitter. I've never met him, but he just followed me on Twitter like a week ago. So hopefully I meet him at some point. But that was definitely a pretty cool milestone. Like obviously I haven't quite made it yet, but like Pat McAfee following you on Twitter, like the step.
Yeah, I mean, if you told us, we'd say we made it. So that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Jack, I just thought of one last question before we let you go. So we're kind of an Ohio State podcast. And by kind of, I mean we're very much an Ohio State podcast. So my last question for you, Jeff Okudah, what's he like? Have you hung out with him at all? From a player standpoint, what do you think of him? Would love to hear it.
Yeah, man, he's a stud. I mean, he's like cool as a cucumber. Like he, which is like a really uncool thing to say. So I'm sure he's never said that. But, he's the man. Like I really got not a whole lot else to say, but just like super athletic, like a lot bigger than like most corners. Like he's like a specimen out there. And he made a really good play a couple weeks ago. Made an interception against the Cardinals, almost ran it back. I was giving him some trouble that he didn't run all the way back, but I'm sure he'll have plenty of pick sixes in his career. So yeah, he's a stud.
Joey, I think we gotta ask Jack what we ask everyone.
Yeah, Jack. We ask, like Andrew said, we give everyone the floor at the end of the interview, and it's not to roll out the red carpet for you. It's for us. So we'll give you some time to ask any questions that you have been dying to ask us, and we'd be happy to answer them.
Oh shoot, man. All right, this one's for Andrew. Drew Lock or Chase Daniel?
Ooh, right now or all time at Mizzou?
Just any way you want to answer it, buddy.
That's Jack.
Right.
Well done.
Drew Lock is like my quarterback. Like when I have kids and they're like, "Who was the quarterback when you were in college?" I'm gonna get to say that Drew Lock was a 4-year starter, so I got to go with Drew Lock.
That's disappointing, man. You're from fucking Ohio though, so I expect nothing less. Hey, one more thing. This is kind of more of my like welcome to the NFL moment. Like I grew up a huge Chase Daniel fan. Like I have his like Sports Illustrated cover on my wall in my room since I was like 12 years old. And in our first game, his locker was right next to mine. So I took a little picture of like our jerseys next to each other. I didn't tell him about it, but it was pretty cool. So
did he catch you? Prater caught you?
No, thank God.
He's FaceTiming his wife. He's like, this dude is taking a picture of my jersey right now. What an asshole.
Yeah, I should have put his jersey on my pads and walked around in it just to just to do it.
Oh,
Maybe next time.
that's funny.
All right, Jack. This has been a blast. Also, that's a little pun, like blast. Keep blasting your punts to space. We are happy. We loved having you on. Anytime you want to come back on, feel free. If you want to be in the locker room and be like, "Hey, AP, like come on this podcast," like we totally would be okay with that too. But you're our guy, and now that you've come on the show, we will be tweeting your punts every week because that's kind of how it works. So if you go on Twitter, you will see the Drive the Lane account retweeting.
Yeah, I love to see it. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a lot of fun. We got to kick it again sometime.
Of course, dude. When we're in Detroit, we'll hit you up.
There you go.
Oh, kick it again. You guys are ridiculous. All right. See you, dude.
See ya.
Man. Again.